Welcome to the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Kern, certified G, bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. In this right here, this is G Money Grant Mitchell. We are here breaking down everything you need to know in the NFL. Grant's commies suffered a loss last night. The Buffalo Bills are a trash football team, and he can't teach that. Bada boom, man. The people in the room, G Money Grant Mitchell. How you doing?
I'm doing about as good as I can be after a brutal loss for the Commanders. Like you said, Jayden just drops the snap. Bears got no chance of winning that game if that doesn't happen. It works out for them. Credit to them, I guess. But, you know, the guiding light through all of it is, once again, my heater still continued. I still have not had a losing week with picks given out here on the show this entire NFL season. 6 weeks in, not had a losing week. I can't complain. No matter how many times my team's going to lose, I can't complain.
No, it's more important in the end of the day than your team making the playoffs because, like, honestly, the Commanders have no chance of doing anything once they get in the playoffs. So it's probably better just to win money betting.
Yeah, that's how it goes in 2025. You don't care if your team wins or loses. It's all about the bets.
So you know what? I care more when I bet on my team and they lose. That's the biggest pain, I would say. But like overall, I would rather probably hit a bet than have my teams win. With that being said, though, I'm always betting on my teams. I know you're not supposed to do that, so it makes it hurt even more. So that means I become a bigger fan because I'm betting on my teams.
So it definitely hurts more that way. They say you're not supposed to bet on your teams. That doesn't really affect me usually from a major markets. In player props, though, I find that I'm bad with player props for my teams. So that's where I usually stay away.
Yeah, I don't really do a ton of player props just because you see all this news stuff going around the weekend. You got Fanatics and you got DraftKings and you got FanDuel, and FanDuel doesn't void and DraftKings voids a little bit. And then Fanatics is the home of fair play and all this, and they all go at it online. So, you know, I try to stay away from player props as much as I can. Obviously, I'm betting the picks that we talk about here on the show and the same game parlays and all that stuff. But like, I'm not putting down one big bet on a player prop. I just would never do that. I like playing sides.
Yeah, and speaking of some of those sports books you named right there, guys, if you are interested in sports betting, we're going to get into all our picks and stuff like that in just a moment. But over at WSN.com, we do have promo codes for those sports books. So bonus bets, profit boost, things of that nature. If you go to WSN.com and check it out there, you might be able to get yourself some deals.
Yeah, check it out, guys. Make sure you go to WSN.com. We are presented by the World Sports Network. And also smash the subscribe button for the podcast, like the podcast, share the podcast, check out the shorts, comment your picks, do it all, guys. Let's take this thing to the moon. We appreciate everyone who tunes in each and every week, and we're going to keep it going here on Ride the Line. So, Grant, today, we usually give our 5 best spread picks for the week. We also recap Monday Night Football. Luckily, this week, we got 2 games to recap. One of them where your commies were involved. I think we should start with the Buffalo Bills, though. Let's go in sequential order here. I have a take on the Buffalo Bills. The take is that they're a terrible football team, and you need Josh Allen to play hero ball to have any chance of winning. And the fact that they are favored to win the AFC right now, it makes sense, obviously, because the landscape of the AFC, their record and all that. But if the Ravens were healthy, I would take them over the Bills. I will still take the Chiefs with how the Chiefs look right now. And I know they lost to the Jaguars a couple weeks ago, but I will take the Chiefs to beat the Buffalo Bills any day of the week in the playoffs, because if you don't have Josh Allen playing well, and we saw him not play well last night, there's not a lot of studs on the defensive side of the ball. And then offensively, there's not a lot of talent around Josh Allen. And I know they've kind of made that work, but I just don't think it's going to work to win a championship.
Well, from a broader perspective, we're only 6 weeks into the NFL season. No undefeated teams, only 4 one-loss teams. There's a lot of teams that are in like that 3-2, 3-3, 2-4 sort of range. Like it doesn't feel like there's a true alpha tier 1 contender. I think the Bills and the Lions are probably the closest thing to that, but we've still got some questions about those teams as well. The Chiefs, this is what the Chiefs do. We're going back to Sunday Night Football. Whenever you count the Chiefs out, they come out and they have a great performance. The Lions they were down 7 to 10 points. It was comfortable for the Chiefs in that game. The Bills, they're the hottest thing going around. They're 4-0. Josh Allen's plus 100 to win MVP, and then they lose back-to-back games as soon as they play competent opponents. So it just does feel like this season, and to some extent college football as well, it feels like these seasons are just the most wide open in recent history.
You're not going to be good, though, when a tight end is your number 1 target. And like that's the case with Josh Allen and Dalton Kincaid. We didn't see Kincaid last night, obviously, but Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakur, Josh Palmer. I just don't necessarily see it where I look at a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I know it's a completely different conference, but we're not taking the Buccaneers as serious as we should be when they are healthy. Like Emeka Egbuka, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, all these studs over there. I mean, they have so much talent to work with where the Bills just don't have any of that. So I don't know how we can call them a championship caliber team unless Josh Allen is just playing outside of his mind. And right now the Patriots have the lead in the AFC East, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, but back to the Bills, to your point, Josh Allen didn't play well in this game, and that ended up being the difference. And the Bills, they've been together for so long. They have the identity. They have the coach in place. They're one of those teams that they're never going to get too low. Like they're never going to go 9-8, 8-9. They're going to win those games where it's close. But to get over the top, the only person they have on their team who's going to make that difference or not is Josh Allen. So when he's not doing that, to your point, the team is not going over the top. They're going to lose.
But the concerning thing about that is the fact that they've gone to Arrowhead many times in the playoffs, obviously have lost to the Chiefs. Josh Allen has played well in those games. It's not like these have been games where Josh Allen just didn't get it done. He's played really well and they still can't get it done. So like watching the Chiefs this week compared to watching the Bills, obviously the Ravens, if they are able to get healthy and climb into the playoffs, they're obviously going to be a contender. But right now, based on what I saw from the Bills last night, they need Josh Allen to play outside of his mind. And even that, it might not be good enough to win just because of the lackluster talent around him.
They also need him to play outside of his mind and play a clean game. That was like the big thing when they hired Joe Brady, like get him to stop turning the ball over. And it's worked, but it has made them a little less explosive. And in games like this, like we're talking about, Josh Allen's he's got to do everything for you.
Yeah, and then, defensively last night, did not have a good first half, had a really good second half. The defense gave them a chance to win in the second half. It was a pretty embarrassing effort from the offense the entire night. So the defense, I guess, has what it takes to be good. Like it's a quality defense. It's not an amazing defense. They're good enough to win. But right now, looking at the Bills, last night's very concerning because the Falcons are a good team. They're not a great team. They're not a team that should beat the Buffalo Bills. I don't care if they're at home. You let Bijan go crazy, and then ultimately your offense couldn't pick it up. Like I think back to some of these teams offensively that have ripped the Atlanta Falcons, and I'm surprised the Bills couldn't achieve that last night.
Yeah, 240 total yards for Bijan. Drake London, 10 catches for 158 yards and a touchdown. Like that's James Cook is good and all, no disrespect to him. He's a top 10 running back in the NFL, but he's like, when we say top 10, he's like 10th. Yeah, it's not Bijan where he's top 10 because he's 1, 2, or 3. And if the Bills had a Bijan, if the Bills had a Drake London, I'm looking at their team completely differently, but they don't.
No, they don't have one of those guys.
That's not even close.
Not one. And James Cook's been terrible the past 2 weeks. I mean, last night had 87 yards, 17 carries, 5.1 average, but like it just wasn't a clean performance from him early on. And the offensive line was getting bullied around. Josh Allen was under pressure. Josh Allen's throwing picks. Like it just not a good performance anywhere on the field from Buffalo last night. And I know it's the NFL and those games are going to happen. But the fact that you lose to the Patriots and you come out and you play like this, that's the concerning part. It's not like you had a great week last week and this is just, your first little blemish here. This is your second in a row. I think the Bills had won like 7 or 8 games consecutively after a loss prior to last night. So they've been able to bounce back, just couldn't do it last night. And again, a lot of injuries. I want to make that clear. So many injuries. With that being said, your quarterback's got to be better and you don't have a lot of stars. So you got to be clean.
Big win for the Falcons, too, because they're at the 49ers next week. After that's the Dolphins. It should be a free win. But then it's at the Patriots and the Colts. So a nice little 3 of the next 4 games are difficult. And if they still want to try to win this division, if they want to make it as a wild card, they had to win this one. Or they had to steal a game maybe you wouldn't expect them to. And they did it in this spot.
Yeah, the division is still up for grabs here. I know the Buccaneers have a head-to-head against them already, so figure they're going to split, but the Buccaneers did beat them in Atlanta. But right now, Tampa Bay minus 350 to win the division. You have the Falcons at plus 370. Carolina and New Orleans are out of it. Looking at the playoff chances, that's an interesting bet for the Falcons. Them to make the playoffs right now, minus 106. I feel like you're getting so many teams in that, minus 120 to plus 120 range right now in both conferences. And you just don't know. You really don't know who's going to get in.
Yeah, if we're going for teams that we think are guaranteed, let's say the Bucs are guaranteed, the Packers are guaranteed, the Eagles are probably guaranteed, and the Lions are probably guaranteed. So that's 4 teams right there in the NFC I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Here are all of the other teams who could realistically get in. So you got the 49ers, you got the Seahawks, you got the Rams, Falcons, Vikings, Bears, Commanders, and then that's probably where the list ends. But that is what I just named another 7 teams on top of the 4 we started with. So that's 11 teams that are kind of in contention for this.
Yeah, in the NFC, obviously the Eagles and the Commanders, I think that's going to be a dogfight in that division. The Commanders needed to win last night. We'll obviously talk about that. That loss sets them back because it's one they should have had. I would take Detroit. I still would take Detroit over Green Bay in the NFC North, wouldn't you?
I would, yeah.
Yeah, I still think that'll be the case. Tampa Bay's running away with the South right now. In the NFC West, we got a dogfight there. I ultimately probably lean towards the Rams or the Seahawks in that division right now. I don't think the 49ers have the team to compete, especially with all the injuries they had. Shout out Mac Jones, though. Really, really quality performances from Mac Attack.
Yeah, he's saved his career. He might get a starting job off this year. If he keeps it up for the rest of the year, Brock Purdy gets injured, it's possible.
It's definitely possible, but like watching him play, I don't look at him as a starting quarterback. I look at him like the Jolly Green Giant. And not in a mean way. Like he can still throw the ball down the field, but like he's just kind of a goofball.
Yeah, he doesn't have a seriousness to him.
He doesn't have that presence about him. Like he was a dog against the Bucs. Don't get me wrong. He got beat up. He made some big throws. He's just not a starting quarterback in my mind. I don't look at him like that's the face of my franchise. Even Darnold, I still struggle to look at Darnold like he's the face of a franchise, but he's a good quarterback option for 3 years. But I wouldn't call him a franchise quarterback, if that makes sense.
Darnold's also got a lot more talent than Mac Jones. That's why he was drafted 2nd or 3rd, whichever it was.
Well, Mac was what, 15th?
15, yeah.
Don't you look at Darnold though like he's a good place setter? Like, I don't necessarily see all the kids wearing Darnold jerseys for the next 10 years.
Well, yeah, I agree with you on that, but also he's still kind of rewriting his career. So maybe a year from now we feel differently about it.
And that's going to be in Seattle if he's a franchise guy. I guess it would be in Seattle. Are we ready to move on to talk about your Commanders? I'll let you have the floor if you want to just ramble.
Yeah, so this was a strange game first and foremost. The Bears had the worst rushing defense since 1934. Commanders had that's not an exaggeration, by the way. Like that's a fact. The Commanders had the number 1 rushing offense in the NFL. They come into this game, they get stonewalled running. Good job by the Bears. Their linebackers, their defensive ends, they did a good job of shutting down the Jayden Daniels runs. He had some success as a scrambler, but the actual design runs or the read options wasn't really working. Bill Krosky-Merritt had his worst game as a starter. I mean, it still wasn't bad. Like he was running tough, but he's held to 61 yards. Anytime you go -3 in the turnover margin, you're supposed to lose. And that's what happened to the Commanders. They turned over 3 times. They didn't take it away 1 time. Jayden Daniels still looked like the best player on the field to me. I don't know if it came across that way. He had the interception on the first drive, but the team was marching down the field. That was his first interception. It's like, okay, that's a surprise. For the rest of the game, like he's kind of taken over. Up until the final drive of the game for the Commanders, they had scored on every possession in the second half. It's like there was nothing the Bears could really do. They were kind of just at their mercy. And then he drops the snap. He doesn't even drop it. He catches it initially, and then as he kind of readjusts it to hand it off, he just drops it. And the Bears at that point, it was 3rd and 1 on that play. There was no real push from either team on the defensive line, so you don't know whether it was a read option and Jayden was going to keep it, whether Bill was going to take it over. You don't know if he was going to get the first down and kind of end the game right there. You don't know if he was going to get stuffed and they'd have to punt the ball back and the Bears would have to drive 90 yards to go win the game. But even still, it looked like the Commanders had wrapped a win up for the most part, and they did the only thing that you can't do. They just put the ball on the ground and handed the game over to the Bears, and then they couldn't get stops. I think it was 2nd and 12. Swift breaks it off for 18. That means that the Bears can officially kill the clock. They get down to like a 38-yard field goal. They kick it and they win. And it's a good win. It's a really, really good win for the Bears, because if they lose that off of a bye week with the Hail Mary having happened last year, killed their season last year, very easily could have killed their season this year. And they persevered through some penalties, a blocked field goal, and they won the game.
Yeah, they were like 0 for 6 coming off bye weeks. I remember that little pop-up in the corner. Like their last 6 games coming off bye weeks, or 7 or 8, they lost every one of them. From what I remember from the broadcast, not a great team. I don't know how to say. I think the Bears are getting better, but the Commanders easily should have won the game. And you guys really needed one more first down after that because the Bears did have 3 timeouts, and you're probably not kicking a field goal still in that situation. You're probably punting and pinning potentially. So either way, just a really bad loss for Jayden Daniels and the Commanders. And that fumble, it's kind of on Jayden Daniels, I would say.
It's fully on him.
Yeah, it didn't look like.
And to his credit, he went to the podium after the game and said, "Don't blame anybody else. That's my fault. That's all mine. I messed this up. We win that game if I don't do that, blah, blah, blah." So he did everything he should have, but it is on him.
You know, it's crazy too. Right when the fumble happened, so they were plus 440 before because I actually did bet it. So I was messing around with baseball, and then I'm like, all right, I'll bet this because why not? And then right after they fumbled, it was plus 100 for the Bears to win the game, which is kind of crazy when they're on their own 45 and they need. I mean, you had Jake Moody last night, so in the rain, so nothing was a given there. But plus 100 to go really 30 yards, pretty good deal.
Yeah, and the thing that really did it for the Bears too, like Caleb wasn't bad in this game, but Caleb really wasn't making big plays. He had a couple of nice passes, but he was really inaccurate. And that's still the big story for me. Caleb's inaccuracy is a big deal. He's going to have to sort that out if he's going to live up to that number 1 pick sort of status. But big story was DeAndre Swift. The Commanders' defense had been solid this year. Swift had been the worst starting running back in the NFL. And he takes 14 carries for 108 yards. The receiving touchdown, the 55-yarder, where Quad Martin just completely whiffed on a tackle and Lattimore standing there watching, and Swift gets in for a 55-yarder. Like, yeah, it's those are the plays where you look at this. That's where I really feel like the Commanders should have won this game. If Matt Gay makes his field goal, if Swift doesn't do that, like those were the moments where you really handed the game. And they needed the fumble, obviously the Jayden fumble. But that play, you don't get to that play if little mistakes like those don't happen along the way.
Yeah. So the Commanders right now, Grant, are plus 230 to win the NFC East. The Eagles are minus 170. They have not played each other, correct?
They don't play until week 16.
So that opens up the door. The Eagles got a 1-game lead on them right now in the division. Do the Commanders have the team to win the division right now?
No, not to me.
Okay.
I said before the year they were going to go 9-8. I might even be bumping that down. I think it might be 8-9.
Yeah, they don't look like they have the same kind of pizzazz as they did last year.
I mean, part of it too, and I'm not making excuses for the Bears game. I'm just talking about why I don't feel like they could win the NFC East. The injuries, the changes on the offensive line. I mean, Noah Brown hasn't been there for 4 games. Terry McLaurin hasn't been there for 3 games. No, there's no guarantee you're going to get him back. And some of the stuff on, like, there's just not the moments of magic like there was last year. I feel like there was an intensity to them, and there was a togetherness, a spirit. Not that I feel like they're turning their backs on each other, but you don't see that present itself on the field in the biggest moments like you did last year when they were playing.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Right now, if you want to get the Commanders to make the playoffs, it's coming in at plus 152. To miss the playoffs right now, minus 188. So it's going to be tough in the NFC with how good some of these teams are.
Minus 188 to miss it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. Big favorites to miss the playoffs.
You just look at the NFC right now: Niners, Seahawks, Rams. I do think the Niners are going to fade a little bit, but those 3 teams are in the mix. Then you got Bucks, Falcons. That's 5 teams in the mix. Packers, Lions, Vikings. Even the Bears right now, mathematically, I mean, that's 4 teams in the mix. And then the NFC East, there's 2 teams, right, including the Commanders in there that are in the mix. So the majority of the conference is very much alive. So I'd probably lean them not make the playoffs, but you never know.
Yeah, I would say I would lean on them to miss it as well, which is crazy because if you look at the teams from the conference championship last year, we're very down on the Eagles right now. They just had that loss, back-to-back losses. Matter of fact, the Chiefs, they're 3-3. The Lions never really had a chance against the Chiefs, and then the Bills, as soon as they play good teams, they lose 2 straight.
Yep, definitely. So, Grant, we ready to move on here?
Yes, let's do it. Let's go Thursday Night Football.
Thursday Night Football, we have a big one here. the Pittsburgh Steelers going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. Probably won't spend too much time on this game because you got a Bengals team that's destroyed and a Steelers team that's playing pretty well. But these are the kind of games here with the Bengals. Now you got Joe Flacco in there. I think they're going to be a little more competitive this week than they have been recently. The Steelers are playing really well. It's a division game. It's a tight spot here. How do you see this one playing out?
Well, can we just start by saying this is the third different team Mike Tomlin has prepared for Joe Flacco? Like, he prepared for him as the member of the Ravens, and then the Browns, and now the Bengals. Third AFC North team. And it's funny because I was saying to some of my buddies, when Aaron Rodgers retires at the end of the year, what would be more Steelers and more Joe Flacco than him being the Steelers quarterback next year?
I don't think he's retiring.
Aaron Rodgers?
I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to retire. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to play one more season.
I mean, it's possible. I always just assumed he would. But if this ends up being a good year for the Steelers and he feels like he can still compete for a championship, maybe he does come back.
The Steelers, though, like Aaron Rodgers is playing well. He's getting protected. That's been the biggest thing. I still don't look at them as a legit contender anywhere in the AFC. I barely think they might not get out of the divisional round, wild card round, whatever round they start in. They might not get out of it.
I mean, there's still a chance they miss the playoffs. It's probably not going to happen, but like their start to the year, the Jets they beat the Patriots, which is their best win. That's the game the Patriots have 5 turnovers. They beat Carson Wentz and the Vikings, and they beat the Browns. They're 4-1, and it's good that they haven't lost games they weren't supposed to. But I'm not impressed by this.
No, definitely not. Did you see Mike Tomlin talking about the Browns GM?
Yes, I did.
Why would you trade a quarterback to a team that's struggling within your division? I kind of agree with him on that. I think it's kind of crazy to help out a division opponent when you're getting them. How many times the Browns played the Bengals? Had they played already?
Well, I can find out for you. Yes. Yeah. Wait, did it? No. Sorry, I was looking at the Steelers schedule and I saw the Browns. They played in week 1.
They played them week 1, and then they don't play them again till week 17. So technically, or week 18. So technically, you got to figure Joe Burrow's back by then. So the trade doesn't. It's not like they're hurting them the next week.
Is Burrow coming back this year?
Probably not, knowing the situation they're going to be in. But like based on the injury report, he could be back by then.
Okay.
So that's why they probably did it. But I kind of agree there. I wouldn't trade a quarterback to another division team that is struggling at that position.
I mean, I do get that perspective on it as well. But also, if you're the Browns, you're not competing for anything right now. The Bengals aren't. This isn't a long-term solution. You're not making the Bengals better for the long term. You're getting draft picks back for one of your assets. And in theory, it either makes you worse, which is good for the draft, or it allows you to get your young quarterback you drafted on the field, see what he's got.
Yeah, definitely. So -5.5, +5.5. Which side of the line are you leaning toward there?
I can't believe I'm doing this, but I am going to take the Bengals +5.5.
Like that.
I gave this a lot of thought. Now, shout out to Joe Flacco to show up and in 5 days learn the playbook and then go out there and play the Green Bay Packers. He had like 30 yards or something at halftime, but he finishes completing 2/3 of his passes, 219 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. His QBR was 68 against that amazing Packers defense. So like he did not play badly. Cincinnati couldn't run the ball at all, but you saw Jamar Chase come back to life. This is a Steelers offense that, again, I talked about some of the teams they've played, but how about just these defenses? Are we impressed by them beating up on the Jets defense? 24 points on the Vikings is good, but that was aided by Carson Wentz turning the ball over. And then the Browns only scored 9 points in that game. They've won the games, and that's what you're supposed to do, but you don't get extra credit from me for doing what was expected of you. I still want to see you, and the Bengals aren't a good team either, but I'm not going to have faith in the Steelers until I see them put in good performances against good teams. The only time they've done that so far was against the Patriots. And again, it's a 5 turnover game. That's not going to happen again. So I just feel like this is going to be a classic AFC North 17-13 primetime snooze fest sort of game.
This feels like one that the Bengals should win. Like realistically, they should go out and win the football game, not just cover. I think win. When you're getting your quarterback, Joe Flacco, coming to a new team, new offense, going on the road to face the Green Bay Packers. You lose 27-18. You lose by 9 there on the road. Flacco throws for 219, throws the ball 45 times, which is kind of insane. The fact that you're making Joe Flacco throw the ball 45 times. But Jamar Chase, 94 receiving yards, 10 receptions, a touchdown. You didn't score till the third quarter, but in the third quarter, it was a 10-7 game. I think at home, week 2 of Joe Flacco, you got a really good chance to cover in this game.
Yeah, I do too. Aaron Rodgers, his numbers look good. Keep saying it. You really look at what he's doing. He is just checking the ball down a lot. And then he's mixed in some very nice deep ball shots. Now, those are the plays you see on red zone. That's why DK Metcalf's numbers look so good. But it's not how they're playing. They're checking it down. They're running. They're not doing a great job running the ball. They're getting like 3-4 yards a carry. So I don't think the Steelers can pull away from many teams that at least put up some sort of fight. And Joe Flacco's going to fight. Now, that might mean he throws 3 interceptions, but it might mean he also throws for 300 yards.
Yeah, very, very well could do that. Props, Grant. You like anything?
Yeah, so sticking with the Jamar Chase resurgence, he had 10 receptions for 90-something yards and a touchdown. Didn't take Flacco long. And Flacco's one of those old school quarterbacks where identify the number 1 receiver and I'm going to throw it to him, kind of like what Stafford has done with Megatron before, and then Cooper Kupp and now Puka Nacua. Just find your guy and lock in on him and put the ball in the hand of your best players. So Jamar Chase over 6.5 receptions for me. That's where I'm going. I'm not going to take the yards because I don't know what the Steelers are going to give him, but I know that nobody in the world can cover Jamar Chase. Flacco's be looking his direction. So considering he went over by 3.5 on Sunday, I like him to get over 6.5 in this one.
Yeah, I'd lean over 69.5 yards there for him as well. I think he kind of has to go over that for them to cover in the game. So, play the script that you're betting on from a spread perspective there. Also, I think Joe Flacco, based on what he did last week, probably going to throw the ball a lot. I kind of like over 22.5 completions. Last week he had 29. So I think you're in pretty good shape here, especially, work them in the game, get the quick completions going. All they want to do, Zach Taylor wants to do, is throw the football. They have no interest in running the ball. So I would take him over 22.5 completions.
How about DK Metcalf anytime touchdown plus 145? And to be fair, I have not line shopped this. You'll probably get it for even better odds unless I just so happen to randomly pick the best sports book available. But he scored in 4 straight games, 4 of their 5. So just from a value perspective, going against a bad defense, this one makes a lot of sense to me as well.
I think you're going to get Jamar Chase, DK Metcalf both in the end zone. That's plus 482 right there. That's a pretty juicy bet.
For just two leg parlay there?
2-leg parlay. Plus 145 each, plus 42 total.
Jamar Chase is plus 145 to score as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, if you want to get cute there, add in T. Higgins too. Why not?
Might be asking for a little too much there.
You never know. I mean, it's just throw the ball. The offense is literally just throw the ball up to Jamar Chase, and maybe we'll work in T. Higgins too. But they're going to get better offensively with Joe Flacco now. Joe Flacco gives them a much better chance to win than Jake Browning. So I expect this game to be close. If the Steelers do cover, it's probably like a late score that puts it out of reach. But I think the Bengals are going to be leading this game. And at one point, you're going to be getting the Steelers for plus money on the money line.
Wow, there you go. Good live betting opportunity.
Bold prediction right there. So anything else, Grant, on this game before we get into our spread picks?
No, this is the best part of the show, best part of the whole week for me. Because again, 6 weeks in, I've not had a losing week with spread bets. So I'm excited. This one is difficult because a lot of these games are not very fun. And a lot of them, we're at that point in the season now where things are starting to even out a little bit. And also teams are learning more about the other teams and they can plan for them. Injuries are taking hold. So this is where it gets difficult, but I got some picks I'm confident in.
The season's kind of rolling, but we're only a third of the way through, but it feels like we're almost done with the season. I don't know if you have that same belief there.
No, I do. I definitely do. And I think that's because so many teams are competitive this year. I think there's legitimately 25 teams that feel like they can make the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. So, Grant, we do our 5 best spread picks here on the show for the week. I will let you kick it off here for week 7. Keep the good vibes rolling.
Okay, so I have bet against this team quite a bit. I have been eager, you might say, to point out their flaws, say they're not as good as everybody thinks they are. I am going to take the Eagles -2 against the Minnesota Vikings. This line is low because Minnesota's coming off of a bye week. Also, Minnesota is at home. If you've been watching the Eagles this entire season, you will know they have not looked good really at any point. Maybe the first half against the Buccaneers, maybe the fourth quarter against the Rams. But as far as a whole game, they have not turned into complete performance. They suffer 2 losses in the span of 4 days after they'd won like 20 of their last 21 games. So a lot of questions being asked about the Eagles right now. But while Minnesota's coming off a bye week, you're getting the Eagles on 10 days of rest after that. They played the Giants on Thursday, so it's a long week. Also, I know how bad they've looked. They have to be better. They're going to get Jalen Carter back from an injury. They're going to get Quinyon Mitchell back from an injury, and they just have to be better than they are. Saquon Barkley's averaging 3.4 yards per carry. A.J. Brown is on the verge of breaking out inner excellence so we can start reading on the sidelines. Again, just nothing is going right for them. And it's right to point out their flaws because they deserve to be put out there. They deserve to be facing criticism, but they can get better. That is the biggest thing. They can get better. And the team they're going against on the other side has either Carson Wentz or J.J. McCarthy as their quarterback. And I get it. Brian Flores is elite. Kevin O'Connell is elite. I love them as coaches. They're the best coach pairing in the NFL. Vikings defense is great. But Jalen Hurts doesn't turn the ball over. I think the Vikings will turn the ball over at some point in this game because of their quarterback. And a 2-point line basically means win and you cover because we rarely see 1-point wins in the NFL. So I will take the Eagles as my first pick there.
Yeah, I like it. I probably would lean towards Vikings until I see something more from the Eagles. Like the Eagles on Thursday night just didn't want to be there. Jackson Dart literally was doing like Michael Jackson dances on the field and it didn't inspire them to go out and try to do something, which is kind of concerning. I think the Eagles have to trade A.J. Brown. That's kind of where I'm at with it right now. Until they don't trade A.J. Brown or until they get rid of him, I think we're going to continue to see this iteration of the Eagles. And I know they won the Super Bowl with them last year, but he kind of seems like the one piece there that just doesn't fit. And what he did with the players only meeting, like talking about how he didn't meet with Jalen Hurts and who was the other dude?
Saquon.
Like, come on, man. He doesn't fit. And I know we have diva receivers in the NFL, but I do believe they're shopping him.
Well, so I don't think they can trade him because I think there's something crazy. They take on like a $50 million cap hit if they trade him or something like that. So I don't think they can.
All right. Well, then you know what? I hate the Eagles. So I do think the Eagles need to, if they don't come out and play better than what they did on Thursday, there is a massive problem. So I would agree with you there. With that being said, I don't trust them.
I don't trust them either, but I'll trust them against J.J. McCarthy and Carson Wentz.
All right, first spread for me, I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Raiders plus 11.5 against the Kansas City Chiefs.
You're doing it.
It's too big of a number. When do the Chiefs cover big numbers?
Rarely ever.
Rarely ever, right? It's a division game. I go back to last year's Chiefs-Raiders game. I think it was last year. What's the quarterback for the Raiders?
Derek Carr?
No, the big dude. What's his name? Young kid. I can't think.
Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew.
Aiden O'Connell. Remember, Aiden O'Connell was lighting them up. They were like a 13-point dog, and Aiden O'Connell was lighting the Chiefs up. They had that like 70-yard touchdown pass or 70-yard bomb. You remember that game?
Yeah.
That was a big spread there. Raiders covered it. Was that last year? That was last year.
I think it was last year.
I think it was last year. Yeah. And I think that the Raiders ultimately won that game outright.
I don't remember that part, but
the kick got blocked. Remember they mishandled the snap?
Yes.
And like, the Chiefs won another close game. They won again because the refs gave them the game, blah, 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 and all that. So I personally think that this is going to be a tight game. I think what the Raiders did last week, they should have a little confidence, a little momentum. I don't like betting on the Raiders. I'm not a Raiders guy, but the Chiefs, this is the game where they not slip up in, but they keep it close and they win by 3 to 7 points. Patrick Mahomes is playing really well. I think they get Rashee Rice back this week too.
Yes, believe so.
Yep. That's gonna help as well. But I still think the Raiders are going to keep this one close. It's a division game and you're getting double-digit spread. I'm going to take that all day long.
Yeah, what I said last week when I picked the Raiders minus 4.5 against the Titans, I said if Geno Smith doesn't turn the ball over multiple times, they will cover. He turned it over once. He threw a horrible interception, but other than that, it was fine. They controlled the clock a little bit, did a great job on defense, specifically forced a couple of turnovers from Cam Ward. I think he fumbled twice, threw an interception. So if they can be a little disruptive, if they, again, Gino, just play a clean game, run the ball with Ashton Genty. The Chiefs don't blow teams out usually. So I do feel like this is I didn't pick it, but this is where I would be going if I had to choose.
Yeah, I tip my cap if they win by more than 11. So,
and that's probably a 2-touchdown win at that point. So,
yeah. All right, Grant, what's your second one?
So I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers -1.5 at the New York Jets. I don't think the Panthers are better. I know the Panthers are better than the Jets. One of my favorite stats for betting and just evaluating NFL teams, the success rate. I've talked about it before. It's a measure of how do you do on a down-to-down basis. Are you staying ahead of the chains? The Panthers, very quietly, almost with a whisper, on defense, they're third. On offense, they're eighth in that department. So they win down to down. They just don't generate the big plays on offense or really on defense for that matter. But you don't need to against the New York Jets because Justin Fields last week had 45 yards in an NFL game. He started, he finished, he never came out. He had 45 yards. He had as many completions as he did sacks, 9. He was horrible. The defense has played well. Okay, the defense played well in that game. They've played well in spots this season, but they have to be 2000 Ravens level of defense to give this offense a chance to win. They have to block a field goal and return it for a touchdown like they did against the Buccaneers. And even then, they're still going to lose the game because they give up the game-winning drive. There's just nothing going right for this team. I'm never a favor of firing coaches in their first season, but I tell you, Aaron Glenn is testing the limits. Because when I love the dance, the meme on the sideline that people have put like September over. I love the dance. That's cool. But other than that, his biggest moments this season have just been clapping for his team, saying, no, I'm not going to consider benching Justin Fields. He opted that 4th and 8 last weekend against the Broncos at the end of the game. You could have kicked a 61-yard field goal to win the game. And I get it. It's 61 yards. It's not a walk in the park. But your alternative was to go for it on 4th and 8 with a quarterback who had 45 passing yards. I would just kick the field goal. Aaron Glenn said, no, I'm not going to do that. Clearly the wrong decision. They lose this game. So there's not a single redeeming quality I can point to with the Jets. With the Panthers, the numbers actually say they're solid, and they've won 2 games in a row. They can go on a 3-game winning streak here, get back over 500, and I think they'll do it.
Yeah, if you beat the Cowboys last week, you got momentum coming in this week. They were I think they were the only underdog that won on Sunday. So pretty impressive stuff there. I am also going to be taking the Panthers. So I'll call this my second spread pick. I look at the 2 sequences in the Jets game last week that really concerns me about just the overall state of the team, from Aaron Glenn's coaching to Justin Fields' ability to play quarterback. The 2 right before the end of the game, right before the end of the half, but that one wasn't even as bad to me as when they're driving to potentially have a chance to kick a game-winning field goal and you call a pass on 2nd down when you ran the ball effectively on 1st down and Justin Fields takes a sack. So number 1, Justin Fields cannot take that sack. Number 2, keep running the football. Get 3rd and manageable, because you take a sack there, you're done. That was a situation where the Jets easily should have worked their way into field goal range. Then they just simply couldn't do it. Now, the Broncos have a really good defense, obviously. I think Justin Fields is probably going to be a little better this week than he was last week. And don't be surprised if they come out and look like a completely different football team. But overall, the Panthers are just better. It's the right pick. It's the right side of the line, whether they win or lose.
And also, Rico Dowdle. I was looking at stats over his last 8 or 9 starts, not games, because he didn't begin this year as the starter. But his last 8 or 9 starts, he's on pace to rush for 2,000 yards in a season. He has 450 yards of total offense over the last 2 weeks alone. That guy quietly has been balling.
Yeah, definitely. Panthers better team. That's what it comes down to. And I think Aaron Glenn should get fired right now because he doesn't. It's managing the game properly. There's no game management or a coordinator. The offensive coordinator's got to get fired. Number 1, Aaron Glenn's a defensive guy. I don't think he can manage a full team right now. It's just not working for him.
There was a sequence. The Broncos had the ball. This might have been early or mid 4th quarter. This is when they are up by, I think it's 10-9 at this point, whatever the score was. The Broncos have the ball. They might have actually even been losing at this point of the game. I don't remember. It was close, and it was the 4th quarter. The Broncos get the ball back on their own 20 or 30 yard line or something like that. It's 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7 maybe. and they run the ball up the middle and just punt it away. And I was watching that game like, do you see what they're doing? Like, they are saying, we don't think you're going to get 20 yards to get into field goal range. That's how much confidence they had in their defense, but also how little respect they had for Justin Fields in that Jets offense.
Yeah, it was terrible. That was probably one of the worst offensively. And they still covered, which is crazy to think, but one of the worst offensive performances I've ever seen in my life.
Well, Bo Nix was pretty, the whole Broncos offense was pretty awful too, but it was just masked by how bad the Jets were.
You hate Bo Nix, though. Bo Nix is actually the best quarterback in the class.
He completed 2 passes in the second half.
He didn't have to. They play to win.
Yeah, well, that's true. Justin Fields had 45 yards.
Like, if I'm Sean Payton, I'm not putting the ball in risk. I'm just run the ball, punt, and let Justin Fields take the ball. That's all. And honestly, if you don't have the safety at the end of the game, there's never even a situation where like the game would have been uglier offensively for the Jets, because there was a period there where they were playing with a lead briefly. Imagine if they were playing from behind the whole time, that would have been even worse.
We gonna go on. You want me to go for the third one since we both took Panthers?
Yeah. What time's the game you're picking out? Let's see if we're gonna have the same game. I feel
Do
like
1 o'clock.
I have a great 1 o'clock pick, I think. You go.
All right, why don't you go? You're excited. Do your 1 o'clock.
All right, so this is my third then.
Yeah.
New Orleans Saints +4.5 or +5.5. It actually just switched. +4.5, +5.5 at the Chicago Bears. You're not on the Bears, are you here?
No, I'm not.
Don't do that to me. I think the New Orleans Saints, watching the entire game against the Patriots on Sunday, this team is not bad. Like, defensively, they're not great. Brandon Staley's definitely not the best defensive coordinator in the world. They gave up big play after big play to the Patriots last week. But I don't trust Caleb Williams to hit the big shots down the field like Drake May did last week. So that's number one reason I would be leaning towards the Saints. Also, Spencer Rattler, talk about efficiency, 20-26, 227. Kind of, the second half definitely was not as clean of a game as the first half was for the New Orleans Saints. But he's been really good this season overall. I mean, he's thrown for 12-17, 6 touchdowns, only 1 interception. He's got a 60 QBR, middle of the league. He's doing everything you could ask him to do and then some. The Saints I think they're more equipped to go out and cover in this football game than the Bears are. We talked about it too when we were breaking down Monday Night Football. Caleb Williams, obviously the inaccuracies down the field. Chicago Bears worst rushing defense in the NFL right now, and I know they had a great performance last week or on Monday night, but at the same time too, that stuff doesn't just disappear, right? So I think the Saints are going to be able to try to come in, at least run the football, work and play action. Spencer Rattler's getting rid of the ball super quick, and 4.5 points against a Bears team that I don't trust to win week in and week out is just a lot. I think the Saints here, like bookmakers, are kind of living off the reputation of the old Saints right now, and then the 1-win Saints, but they're better than a 1-win football team. And I think they showed that against the Patriots on Sunday.
Yeah, so this game didn't make it to my card, but if I had to pick a side, and I do pick a side in every game, post those over at WSN.com if you guys want to check those out. I pick every game every week, and I will be picking the Saints for this game for a lot of the reasons that you laid out. I have a buddy who is he's become a bit of a Spencer Rattler. I don't want to say fan because he doesn't support him, but he's become a Spencer Rattler defender. And he's been looking around saying, if you look at what Spencer Rattler has done for the Saints, the level he's currently playing at, he's on par with Michael Penix. He's on par or ahead of JJ McCarthy. He's on par with Bo Nix. He's been better than Caleb Williams has so far. And I mean, you would have to really dive into the numbers, but when you get there, you say, okay, this actually isn't a crazy take. The reason we don't look at Spencer Rattler in that light is because he was a 5th-round pick, and the Saints drafted Tyler Shuck. By the way, what a disastrous pick that was. Everybody knew Shuck stunk, and now it looks like Rattler's your franchise quarterback moving forward. The point being, Rattler is actually making good plays. He's doing a good job, and now he's protecting the football. He's not careless like he was last season. So if they can do that, the Bears on a short week, they're still at home, but on a short week going back, this is definitely a spot where the Saints could walk into Soldier Field and they could even pull off the upset.
Yeah, just because the Bears are going to be super high coming off last week. This is a good down spot for them going against a 1-win Saints team that's better than a 1-win team. And overall, Spencer Rattler, you talk about value from the quarterback position. He could be the most valuable quarterback in the NFL for what they're actually paying him per year right now. And
that's true, because he's probably getting what, $1 million?
Yeah, he's making, let's see, $960,000 this year. Like that's crazy. You get a guy who's throwing 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, middle of the road QBR, gives you a chance to win every week. That's Spencer Rattler for $1 million. Can't beat that.
No. And Kellen Moore, tip of the hat to Kellen Moore. This team does still lack talent overall, and that's why they only have 1 win, but they're not helpless, which I thought they were going to be.
It's crazy how you look at just how the in-game decisions are made. Like I look at Aaron Glenn and I'm saying he needs to be fired because just how bad the decisions are in game. I look at Kellen Moore. I say, I don't know if he's going to be successful in New Orleans, but he's definitely worthy of being a head coach for a few years based on how they're playing right now with what they have.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, Grant, give me your third.
So even though I was just beating up on them and you call me a Bo Nix hater, which I guess I am to a little bit, I'm going to take the Broncos -7 against the Giants. And I know this sounds a little weird because Giants getting the long week. Jack Star, Cam Scadaboo, Scadaboo's ripping his shirt off. He's doing chest bumps with Ryan Fitzpatrick. It's great TV. Dart's making plays against the Eagles. I've been impressed by those two, but I gotta just remind everybody, we always have to expect mistakes from rookies. Promising rookies, we saw it with Drake May a lot last year. They're going to make a lot of big plays that turn your head. They're going to make a lot of mistakes where you're like, what are you doing? You saw those mistakes from Jackson Dart against the Saints when he had the fumbles, when he had the interceptions, but then you see the big plays against the Chargers and more so against the Eagles. So it's going to be this constant seesaw, teeter-totter, up and down sort of effect that you're going to get throughout the season. But going against a Broncos team that has an elite defense, top 5 at worst, maybe even top 3, without Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton is banged up. You've got some other injuries as well. Your defense is not great. Bo Nix and this offense of the Broncos, they can move the football. My personal opinion is about him aside. Their offense can move the football. J.K. Dobbins done some good things. R.J. Harvey has been a little explosive when he's gotten his opportunities, and they can move the ball down the field. So for the Broncos to just win by 7 points, that at least gets us to a push. I would personally probably buy the 6.5 or wait for the line to drop. But I do think the Broncos will handle this one relatively comfortably.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat here. I did not take this for one of my spread picks, but I would definitely lean towards Denver here. Just better team overall, much better team.
At home too, I believe, as well.
Yeah. And the Giants, the one concerning thing is like Jackson Dart's taking over the world, but you're not going to be as good as you were on Thursday Night Football at home against a division rival, now going on the road against Denver. But Jackson Dart is actually, he's from Colorado.
He's from Utah.
Same thing.
Same neck of the woods.
Mormon country out there. So you never know. He's going to have a lot of fans out there. Going to be popping out for him.
All right. You're on number 4. What you got?
I got another 7-point spread here. And I'm going to take the New England Patriots -7 on the road against the Tennessee Titans. I don't want to hear about the firing coaches week after game boom. I don't want to hear about that. First of all, I want to say a prayer for Brian Callahan. He did not get a fair treatment in Tennessee. That's ridiculous. The treatment he was given in Tennessee to get Will Levis, a guy that you didn't want, and then get Cam Ward for 6 games. That's kind of unfair. Would you agree with that?
Well, I think he kind of sealed his fate when he went to the podium and said that everybody is responsible for this. Cam Ward is responsible for this too. I think you're supposed to protect your rookie quarterback there.
Yeah, but still, like Tennessee, you shouldn't have got rid of Rabel, right? They seem to fire coaches. I agree with that, but that's how he was with Will Levis too. Like you got to take responsibility for your actions. You should protect your quarterback. I agree with that. Brian Callahan he didn't get a good end of the shtick there. So maybe Tennessee hated him and maybe they come out and play better. But the theory of the fire coaches boom week after all that, does it work this week with Mike Vrabel coming to town? A guy that was unfairly fired by the Tennessee Titans, and a guy who has his football team playing very well right now. Drake May looks awesome. Stephon Diggs looks like he has a pulse there. I mean, Pop Douglas looks outstanding. The entire team, Booty looks great. Everyone looks awesome. So I think that if the Patriots were going to slip up, it was going to be after the Bills game against the Saints on the road in the Superdome, and they overcame that. This is the game that Vrabel's been circling on the calendar for a very long time, and I trust what Drake May is doing. I trust what they're doing offensively and defensively. It's a better coach team. It's a much better roster, and you have the motivation of Vrabel coming in there. Where on the flip side, maybe everyone hated Brian Callahan, and they're going to play better this week. I just don't think it's enough to go out with what they have and beat the Patriots.
So I'm going to stay away from this game. Have been impressed by the Patriots, obviously leading the AFC East. They did let Spencer Rattler make some plays. You know, they gave up some big plays last week. They relied on big play explosiveness themselves. And I'm not saying that that's bad. If you can generate those plays, that's a great thing, obviously. Drake May has been playing near an MVP level. He's not quite the MVP of the league, but he's been really good. And he's shown you that, no, I can be a franchise quarterback for the next 10 to 15 years or so. Cam Ward, the plays are there to be made sometimes. He just hasn't always delivered on them, but he does flash his arm talent every once in a while. So the fact that I know you hate this, but it is the coach firing. The fact they are at home, and also Tennessee's defense has gotten a little bit better. Jeffrey Simmons in particular has been having a great year. I couldn't see it being weirdly close. I would never pick the Titans to win, but I'm probably just going to stay away from it.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't mind that, but I think the Patriots it's the Vrabel thing. It's the Vrabel game. And Drake May does look like probably the best quarterback in the class right now, Grant. Sorry to tell you that.
In 24?
Yeah.
This season for sure.
Yeah, but you can't judge off last season. You got to judge like projecting out. Drake May looks like he's the next great thing in the NFL.
Well, I mean, he looks like he'll be great. Don't get me wrong, but if we're going off the 22 game sample size of their careers, I'm still putting Jayden number one, obviously. Jayden looked great against the Chargers. Jayden looked great against the Bears. He just dropped the ball at the end of the game.
He protects football. That's the thing about Drake May. That last night, he's not fumbling that ball.
Jayden was the last quarterback in the NFL to have a turnover this season.
It came at a bad time.
Drake's great. Don't get me wrong. If I'm making my, I do my little MVP ladder, I would say my top five is no order, but like I would have Baker, Darnold, Mahomes, Allen, and then it might be like Goff and May battling it out for that fifth spot.
Drake May is bringing me back to the Patriots. Like he's making me feel some type of way about the team again, which after week one, I wanted to fire him. So
yeah, you did not like Drake May,
but like watching him the past couple of weeks, he's like, this kid's fun to watch.
Yeah, he is.
So
now I wonder if some of these big plays, he's taking risks. So I'm wondering if there's a bit of variance that's going to come in, if he's going to start throwing interceptions, but we'll just have to wait and see how the season goes on. If he gets to the end of the year and he's still playing clean football, that'll be big for me.
Yeah, definitely. All right.
So number 4 for me, I'm going to take it back over to London to the international series. I'll take the LA Rams -3 against the Jaguars. The Jags, London's like their second home. They're there all the time. That being said, I just don't feel like the Jags are quite as good as their record might indicate they were. They never really had a chance to beat the Seahawks, and the Seahawks were underdogs in that game. Granted, we both picked them last week. We both expected that to happen. We said the Seahawks were going to win outright. I'm not saying that the Jaguars are bad, but I look at the LA Rams as having a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense. The loss of Puka Nacua, obviously that does hurt, but Devontae Adams is right there. And the Rams quietly do have some receiver depth behind them. Some interesting play calling from them last week. They seemed a little insistent on running the ball when they could have clearly won through the air. Don't know why. It was almost like they felt bad for the Ravens because they were so injured and playing so poorly that they're like, no, don't worry, we'll give you a chance to win this game. But if they can just clean that up, get out of their own way, this Jags team, again, they're relying on their defense. And when you look at their general composition, they should be an offensive team. When you look at who they hired, how they move up to get Travis Hunter, they have Brian Thomas Jr., Etienne's been balling. And so I just feel like this team is going to start to come back a little bit. And the Rams, I've got a lot of respect for them. I think they could be the best team in the NFC. Not that they quite play like it, but as far as who do I pick to get to the Super Bowl, I think there's a very reasonable chance it's the Rams. So I'll take them in this spot.
Yeah, the Rams could be the best team in the NFC right now, or most well-equipped to win the NFC at this point. So I do agree with this. I like this pick. It wasn't on my list, but it's one that I will probably be playing on Sunday morning.
It's wild that the Rams did such a great job. And this is a testament to their front office, but they traded all their picks. They had the mantra, F them picks, and then they just nail all of their selections. Think about getting Puka Nacua in the 5th round, and you get Byron Murphy and Fisk and all these other guys to partner with Jared Verse, and Verse ends up being a stud. And it's just a hat tip to their front office.
It's just crazy where they were a year ago in a situation where we thought Cooper Kupp was potentially going to go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a trade, or somebody else. They were going to sell and just get rid of all these guys. And then they go on to make a run in the playoffs, almost beat the Eagles. And now they're right back where they are. They lost talent. You had Devontae, but you got a lot of talent around Matthew Stafford, who's still playing at an elite level. And you had a great coach, obviously, in Sean McVay. So this is a team easily could win the NFC and go to the Super Bowl. Wouldn't even think twice about it.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. So final pick for me here, Grant. I'm going to go with I have it right here, Cleveland Browns -2.5 against the Miami Dolphins. I hate to do it, but when the Browns are favored in a football game, I kind of got to trust them to get it done. I look at the Miami Dolphins right now. Biggest thing that scares me about them is the situation after the game, a game they came back and rallied in. Like, that's, if you're going to win a football game, that's one that you have to win. You come back, you score with 40 or 50 something seconds left. Then you allow the Chargers to go right down the field, kick a game winning field goal. Obviously after the game, Tua is on the podium talking about how guys aren't showing up to the players only meeting. The locker room is totally lost. And when you have losses like they did on Sunday, where they fight all the way back and then it gets ripped out of their hands, that's another thing that just kills locker room. Because what's the point of showing up? So if you had a lost locker room when the season was still had a chance, you're really going to have a lost locker room now. You're going against Cleveland Browns team that I think Stefanski's got the locker room under control. I think everybody likes being around each other. You get the big drama with obviously Shedeur Sanders. Who is he going to be the backup? We talk about him being the backup more than we do about Dylan Gabriel being the starter there. But offensively, Gabriel gives him a chance to win. He's going to protect the football, or they're not going to put their offense in situations where they're going to risk turnovers. They're going to lean on their defense in this game. I don't picture Miami scoring a ton of points, and I think the Browns have their best chance of scoring this season against the Miami Dolphins defense. So I will take them -2.5.
I also did not put this on my card, but I will also be taking this. I've already started the write-up on this part of my pick for my weekly pick series. I am taking the Browns in that one for pretty much every reason that you laid out. If the Dolphins, I couldn't believe that they were winning with less than a minute left against the Chargers, and then they still find a way to lose. They literally have Justin Herbert in their hands for a sack to kind of salt the game away. And they clutch, what's the saying? They clutch defeat. They snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. That's what the Dolphins do. They're injured everywhere. They hate their head coach. They hate their quarterback. I think there was a player, I wish I could remember his name. I would assume he's a free agent right now, but when Tua made that quote about people not showing up for the players meeting, which by the way is a reflection on him and the leaders on the team. He was trying to use it to blame Mike McDaniel, but there was a player who I guess signed with Miami for like a week or something early in the season. And he commented on it and he said, dude, I was there for 1 week and this guy was not showing up. Nobody was paying attention to him. Nobody listens to him. So there's just everything is wrong with this team. You got to pay Tyreek. Tyreek's got a $50 million cap hit next year. He might not even be playing football. Tua is bad. He's a bad leader and he's your franchise guy. Supposedly everybody on defense is injured and your defense is horrible to begin with. If there's a time to bet the Browns, like you said, you got to do it. And this might be the only time.
It's just an all-time crazy switch up where we were with Mike McDaniel and Tua, because Mike McDaniel made Tua confident again, made him believe in himself. Now we're just going back to a team that, and I think Mike McDaniel's a perfect offensive coordinator to do that. He's just not a team leader. But I think if you want him to get a quarterback confident again in a good offensive system, he's your guy. It's just not a head coach.
Do you remember the Tua Justin Herbert debates? That was a real thing.
Yeah, but like I don't think Tua's bad. Like I'm not going to sit here and say you think he's bad.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's bad. He's not Justin Herbert, but Justin Herbert, everyone acts like he's the greatest thing ever. Like I'm not super high on Justin Herbert. Like Justin Herbert has not lived up to what he should be.
Yes, correct. He's not lived up to the reputation a lot of fans try to portray. They try to portray him as. Like
he's not. There's a lot of quarterbacks that I would take over Justin Herbert right now. He's 6'5" and he's got a rocket arm and he dates whatever her name is. But like other than that, the on-field stuff could be better.
Well, for the final pick of the show, Before we get out of here, guys, make sure you do hit the like button if you made it this far. Hit the subscribe button as well. Final pick of the show, it's only fitting I do go with Justin Herbert because I'm going to take the Chargers minus 1.5 at home against the Colts. Shane Steichen is an unreal coach, man. We're seeing that play out in real time. I've said it since he left the Eagles. I was never as high on Gannon. In some ways, I still don't really know about Gannon because I feel like he hasn't been given a chance. But you've seen it with Shane Steichen. He's done an unbelievable job with this offense. They can get it done through the air. They can get it done on the ground. Defense has been playing really well. With that being said, if I am to go back and look at their wins, they beat the Dolphins. They beat the Broncos in a game where the Broncos handed to them because of a leverage call on a field goal. They beat the Titans. They beat the Raiders. They beat the Cardinals. Again, good job. You've done exactly what you're supposed to do. But when you faced a really good team in the Rams, you lost by 7. You didn't cover the spread in that game. It's a spot where I've gotten more from you than I thought I was going to. But until I see you really perform against a good team, I don't quite know what I feel about you. With the Chargers, they are established. I know what Justin Herbert is. I know what Jim Harbaugh is. I know what this defense is. So I think this could end up being a close game, but I do feel like I'm getting the better team at home, and I'm only having to lay a 1.5.
Yeah, I don't know if they're the better team, though, that much. Like, I think the Chargers have flaws. Chargers obviously almost lost to the Dolphins last week. I thought that was the game after losing 2 in a row that you're going to come out and you're going to dominate in. Weren't able to do that, obviously. Gave up a lead late. I think the Colts just have this, like, special magic to them right now. Like, you don't want to face the Colts. You don't want to face Daniel Jones. This is the equivalent of the Vikings of last year. A team that's not going to go far in the playoffs. Like, they're going to get knocked out at some point, probably the divisional round. But they're going to be competitive. They're going to have a great year, and they're going to be really good in the regular season. Like, they could be the number 1 overall seed in the AFC. So that would be my fear here. I think there's just something special about Daniel Jones.
Yeah, and the Colts, I mean, their upcoming schedule. So just to recap real quick, so far they've had Dolphins, Broncos, Titans, Rams, Raiders, Cardinals. To finish the year, they have Chargers, Titans, Steelers, Falcons, Chiefs, Texans, Jags, Seahawks, Niners, Jags, Texans. That's a pretty manageable schedule. And to your point there, if this is the season of magic, they could win 13 games here.
Oh, yeah, definitely. 100%.
Well, that's all I got for my picks. That's all we got for the show today.
That was Ride the Line, the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. We will be back on Friday for another episode. Thursday, we'll have some videos out. We'll have shorts out all week. We'll have videos out all week. So make sure you guys tune in for that. And Grant, why don't you take us out of here?
100%, guys. Make sure you do tune in, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button if you enjoyed it. And as we say, we appreciate you guys being here. Make sure you tune in. We will catch you on the next episode of Ride the Line.